Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so context. Context is everything. 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 I've often prayed a lot about understanding context and making sure that I seek it, making sure that whatever I talk about, I'll know what context I may have and maybe may not be privy to, those type of things. I try to be conscious of that, trying to be more so conscious of that and things of that nature. Um, and when I saw something online today, I was like taken aback, but to each his own. I mean, I don't care what people do, but it was something online that said Joe Budden comes out as bisexual. I'm like, I've been listening to Joe Budden very, very closely for many, many years on his podcast and various things that he's done. And it's been a running joke that he's been talking about he's going to come out the closet in 2022. And I'm like, he's 2 months early. So it's clearly a joke that's been running with the podcast. When I saw that, I figured he was just playing at it that way, or maybe he is gay, maybe he's finally ready to tell his truth, man. I don't know. Teach his own. But more than likely he was lying. More than likely it was something to it, more so is what I'm trying to say. So I looked into it, looked up, the podcast, zipped straight to where the comment section was on YouTube, and I knew someone that's time stamped it because it's going all over, it's gone viral. So everybody wants to know is what's going on, what's the context to what it is that he's saying. And I found out basically what the conversation was that more or less Joe doesn't appreciate, and the guys on the podcast were essentially saying their opinion about this latest situation that is going on with the baby, the rapper, the baby. He said some things on stage that were deemed homophobic, and he has since been canceled. I believe I made a video about that when it happened. I think I did. I don't remember. But nevertheless, he's trying to get back in good graces with some people that maybe could help him kind of restore his image and kind of recoup some of the money that was taken from him during that process because he was canceled from a lot of very, very big venues and lost millions of dollars. So needless to say, he definitely wanted to kind of get back on point, So his attempt was to try to, more or less, and I loosely understood what was going on there, but more or less he had gotten in contact with someone that considers themselves a CEO of a certain group of individuals that are respected within the LGBTQ community. And I guess she was going to have him perform at a certain venue. And when he refused, it was some type of reaction to that kept him from being able to have certain avenues open up for him further or something of that nature. In other words, it was contingent upon him performing that things were to work out for him, more or less is what I understood it to be. And Joe wanted to bring forth an understanding exactly about that conversation. He wanted people to of course, come to his podcast, more or less, but more so come to his podcast and understand about that particular conversation. So more or less him saying that in that context he was like, how can I get attention to this conversation? And then he said what he said. And then at that point it was more or less something that continued. They didn't really acknowledge what he said. They continued the conversation. More or less, he was time-stamping it. He figured this would be something that would bring everybody to say, yo, what is Joe Budden talking about? And when they did find out, go to the podcast, find the timestamp, they would be then brought to that conversation to which he felt this needed attention. So, it was a multitude of things he was able to accomplish by doing that. But I don't think he was actually identifying his truth. But I do believe he knew that this would bring that type of attention. And I think he also understood that people would, like myself, would look into it and then find the conversation and bring it to light. So, yeah, as far as Joe's actual sexuality, who knows, right? But I don't think he was declaring it today. I do not believe that. As far as the conversation, like I said, I loosely understood what was going on there as far as that was concerned. The baby thing, so I don't really want to comment too much on it, but what I will say is at some point, if you're going to let somebody back in, you got to let them in with their flaws. If you're going to let them get back into good graces and not cancel them, you can't demand that they understand certain things that maybe they don't understand right away. But if they're on board with learning, and let that be enough. And if it's not enough, then don't try to get business out of them until it becomes enough, until you get the satisfaction that you've gotten what you want to get. Otherwise, it looks like you're just trying to get money out of them, extorting them, and really are not interested in them actually being sorry for what it is that they've been offensive in saying. So essentially what the panel was saying there was the baby is being extorted by these people. It's a lot of gatekeeping going on in regards to people being able to perform and people being aligned with the LGBTQ community's standards, more or less, is what I gathered. And they don't appreciate that, and they want people to look into that, and they don't want to, have to yell at the top of the mountaintop. So this was the way they could get that attention without basically saying something controversial on some major platform. So this would be the controversial thing that would bring all of us to that conversation. So that's exactly what he was doing there, man. I'm hopeful that people can understand that, even though you may benefit from a movement, doesn't mean that it can't be taken advantage of to take advantage of others. Basically, it can be used to take advantage of others just because you benefit from it. So those who may have offended you or something like that, those who might have done some things that aren't so good, they can then be taken advantage of by some people who aren't so good as well, who more so are better at masking it, I think, is what we're trying to understand here. So you can support the community, you can support canceling somebody, but you don't have to support them being taken advantage of, it being too far as the punishment or whatever you, or someone's rights being taken away or whatever. You can still be humane in all of that, and I think that's the balance that needs to be understood when canceling people, etc. Leaving room for all of this to be understood and for context to be understood as well. So that's what I got to say, man. Just wanted to come here, give you that. That's that. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.